everybody. You're just so good at that. So we're here this market to talk about Elizabeth, my brand new collection for FreeSpirit fabrics. I am crazy excited about this. Does anybody remember a line I did a while back called Parisville? Yeah, me too. So Parisville was a really important line, and we'll get back to the present shortly. Was a really important line for me because it was the first fabric collection I ever did with FreeSpirit, and it was the first time in my entire life somebody ever said, do more. And it's the first time somebody ever told me to not hold back, to not pull it in, to give more, put more colors, more patterns, more everything, to just put everything I had down on paper, down on cloth. And after a lifetime of being told to maybe tone it down a notch, I was finally allowed to just go. And so I thank Joyce for that every day. And I thought that this would be a really good time for me as my career has grown and I've designed many fabric lines for FreeSpirit. It was kind of an important time for me to go back to that and take everything that I've got and put it down on fabric, which of course I try to do every single time. But this is kind of going back to that. And if you know me at all, you know I love to tell a story, true or otherwise. And so this is kind of going back to Parisville, which was about Marie Antoinette, and I love the idea of extravagance and things that are over the top. I mean, you know, I came up in quilting under the Keefe and Brandon school of if you do something, overdo it. I'm way on board with that philosophy. So I was trying to figure out when I was designing this collection, so what story do I want to tell now? And I love history because it's really just like big, long stories, right? And I started thinking about sort of some of my favorite people throughout history, and one of them that's always stuck with me is Queen Elizabeth I of England. And it's a really fascinating thing. A couple times throughout history, we've been faced with a person who is born into a situation that they didn't create, and then is faced at some turning point in their life with this mountain. They're staring up at the top of this mountain that nobody would even think of climbing, and they go, yeah, okay, I'll do that. And then they do it. And then they do it so well that 400 or 500 years later, we're still talking about it. In a time when women supposedly didn't have scientifically the mental capacity to rule, she like slayed, right? And so what this line's about is not just about history, because if you know me at all, you know it doesn't stop there for me. It's just about this idea of people going out and doing what they want to do and doing it really well, regardless of what anybody says or what anybody does. And so it's really an homage to that, more than it is to an individual person. Can I have one of the Elizabeth one? Oh, thank you, Julie. Julie Herman of Jaybird Quilt. We'll be talking more about that later. But so what I've also done, because people have always asked throughout the different fabric collections, they're like, you stand up here and you tell all these funny stories, and we'd love to have them. So I've written in the catalog this time, I've actually written all this down for you. But then in the very back, oh, look at that next to the Tula Pink sewing machine for Bernina. right next to that. I've also put in here the reason that all these little things show up in the lines. I don't do anything arbitrarily. I have entirely too much time on my hands. I have very few friends. And so I sit around and tinker in my fabric lines and put all these little details that I'm the only one who ever knows anything about them. So you'll find on this last page, next to this page, why all these little things are here, what they mean, why they're there. Like, why would I put a pelican in there instead of a parrot? You know, why is that there instead of something else? And it all relates back to sort of the mythology of Elizabeth. And all that is to me is the mythology of a great woman who did something she wasn't supposed to be able to do, which is kind of all of us in a lot of ways in the quilting industry. You know, nobody comes into the quilting industry because they got a master's degree in running a quilt shop. You know, we're all professional amateurs, right? Not you. I'm gonna hang out with you later. So that's what this is about. It's just about just doing it all the way. That's it. Whatever it is, just doing it all the way. And, you know, and it's a starting point for me to talk about it. So in the line, we have the main print, which is sort of my take on our Miss Elizabeth herself. And this one's called 16th Century Selfie. Because what they used to do with the royal family or whoever was the monarch at the time is they would have a standard, like a painting made of the current monarch, and then everyone who made a painting of them it had to be based on that painting, because they couldn't just go sit in front of the queen. Like, you know, she had countries to run and whatnot. And, you know, she had to pretend to want to marry all these other monarchs' sons so that they wouldn't attack her. It's a very important part of ruling a country. I'm trying to figure out how to roll that into fabric design, but I haven't quite gotten that to work for me yet. But so this is essentially, this is 16th century selfie. This is Tudor windows, so this is sort of my go-together, because I don't like the word blunder, because it makes it sound unimportant, and it's not. And then I just really needed a stripe. I always need a stripe, and so I added one in here. So this one's called Tent Stripe. This print, oh my gosh, it's a flower with nothing in it. Can we all just marvel at this for a moment? Because I've never, ever done it before. I'm like the only designer in history who's never done a fabric with just a flower on it. But it's not really any kind of flower, so who knows if that's legit or not. But this one's called Estrella. Estrella was a virginal goddess of justice, and it's all in there. This one's called Chainmail, and it's just a nice little scallop print. And then this one is where you're going to get a lot of the symbolism. It's going to show up in here. And it's just meant to be sort of a texture print. It's just a 2-color texture print. And this one's called Ship Shape, because it has ships, and sometimes I like it when things alliterate. But there's ships in here, there's pelicans in here, and the pelicans she often used pelicans as brooches or in her portraits of herself, because a pelican, it was believed, a mother will sacrifice itself for its children. If they're starving or cold or whatever, they will take the weight of it. And, I mean, all moms do that, right, Mom? Yeah, okay, thank you. And then this one here is called Bats in the Belfry, because you gotta be pretty darn eccentric to turn a country around, and to do what all of us are doing, you have to be able to go for it. So and then this one is Pearls of Wisdom, because I can never make a dot just a dot. I'm just like physically incapable of it. We're so glad. Thank you. And so there's 3 colorways of this. So this is sort of pinks and citrusy colors, because I gotta have pinks. I mean, you gotta own the name, right? And then we've got our blues and navies, because I know you guys always like the navies, and I do too, because blue is basically a neutral to me. If you know me at all, you know that I think aqua is like denim and it goes with everything. And then some of the purples and stuff. And what we see in some of the quilts that actually Julie Jaybird did for me is that they play very well with our past fabric lines. And by our, I mean mine, because I'm just one person and I forget that sometimes. And what I've done, and what I always do with the colorways, if you've carried my fabric before, you know this, I bury the colors that go with every colorway in each colorway. So there's always crossover between colorways. And that way, I'm trying to, because my mom owned a shop for so many years, I'm very sensitive to the plight of the shop owner. And I want the line to sell down evenly. And so I give you the fabrics that people, when people go in to buy a larger print like this, typically they're gonna buy a larger amount of fabric. So the vocals run down first, and then all of your little blender pieces are left behind with nothing to go with them. And so I mix the blender pieces so that they go with every single colorway, so that as they sell down, hopefully, they sell down relatively evenly. Because a person isn't going to, if you sell out of all of this vocal fabric, you're not left with some random blender piece that doesn't have the crux of the line in it anymore, that doesn't go with any of your other pieces. You run out of this, and it still very easily goes with this one and with this one. So I really am trying to help you guys think through this. Again, not a lot of friends, tons of time. So if you have friends you like, but you haven't tried to be my friend, there's a reason. So a couple of the projects that I have going for this, so I really judge a line by how much I'm into what I'm making once I get to making things, because that's when you really learn how a line works. Does it really work? I'm giving you a big head, okay? And all of you who are afraid of the big head, do we have to have this conversation again after Nightshade and after Parisville? If you're not sure, buy it. Hold on to it for a year, sell it for $100 a yard on eBay. Some people have life insurance policies. I'm pretty sure my brother's going to off me for my archive yard. Not going to go into Bumble so much right now, but we will get there. So I want to show you some of the things I make with it. And what we're doing is bringing back some things. We have new patterns. So you can't really do a quilt or a collection of fabric about an English monarch without, oh, you guys are going to get on chairs? Do I have to pay hazard pay for that? This is the top. You have a side. There you go. You have a side. Nope, that's it. So this is a really great example of all the colorways working together. And I found that when I was making things out of this, I was finding it nearly impossible to separate them. I kept going, oh, well, I'll just add this one piece from this colorway in. All my quilts look like this. And I also gave you in your handout, I tried to listen and add these things. On each page of each colorway here at the bottom are the coordinating FreeSpirit solids. So that you can make sure that you have those as well, because the solids do really help kind of give you a break sometimes, give your eye a break. So this is the Union Jack quilt, and this I actually made from the pattern from Busy Bee Designs. I was going to make my own pattern, and then I found that there were a couple out there that were beautifully written, and there was no point to add another one. So the one that I went with is the Busy Bee Designs. It's called Victory Garden. And then I have the little heads fussy cut as can you show the back? And just in case you can't see the head from back there.
She confirmed.
Tula, could you stand in the middle?
Don't you have enough pictures of me?
Is that how big the fabric is? That?
Thank you. So this is going to be a new pattern. You get it? I'm so glad you get it. Thank you. This is called Gothic Arches. So it's like windows, castle windows.
would love to have.
And it's a great quilt for fussy cutting. And it's a really, I used a fusible process for this. It looks like needle turn, but it isn't, because I ain't got that kind of time. So the way I did this is actually I put a super featherweight, a Pellon featherweight fusible, face to face with the fabric, sewed the shape, flipped it inside out, and then the raw edge gets sewn into the bottom seam.
Wow.
Super simple. It's a little bit time consuming because of all the flipping, but it's not difficult. So it's a great intermediate project. And you can do smaller versions. I will have it in sizes and I will have a pillow version. That's something I'm adding to all my new patterns, is size variations and smaller, quicker project variations on it. So that's one of them. And then this one has another. And I ran out of stripe over here, so I used a little of your guys' polka dot to fill it in. That makes it, right? I had to make my own stripe, I ran out. It happens. All my quilts are quilted by Angela Walters. Always and forever. We're tied to each other.
You guys see the break?
Yes. Yes, it's done. That is done. And it changes.
And these will be on display at the booth.
Yes, they'll all be in the booth. All the coordinating solids are written in your catalog under the name of the colorway. So they're all in here. And they're just general coordinating solids. I mean, they coordinate with if you want to fill it out, because I know that sometimes we like to do that. So I've also taken a few of my more popular patterns and miniaturized them. I've been getting a lot of requests for the alphabet pattern, which I was going to have out already, but then I realized that putting out, just like I haven't yet to reprint an old fabric, I have like a mental block against reprinting an old pattern, but so many people wanted it that I had to do it, but I had to bring something else to it. And here's another variation. So, because I was getting a lot of people who want to write things, and an 8-inch block is a little difficult to write out long things with. So the pattern will have an 8-inch block version as well as a 4-inch block version of every letter. I mean, this goes together so quickly, it's ridiculous. I mean, you can make this in probably 4 hours. It's really fast, because the whole point of the alphabet was I wanted to render every single letter using no more than 5 pieces. So many of them are 2 or 3 pieces, so it made me find the absolute essential parts of every letter. Because from a distance, you don't always know that it's a letter until you get right up on it. And so it becomes sort of like a modern abstract quilt block, but then you can put it together and send secret messages to each other. If we ever have another Underground Railroad situation, we are totally ready. And another smaller version is my Kiss Kiss pattern, which will be, and this is going to be a good example of that. This pattern is crazy simple, goes together in a hot minute, or like a day. And, but what it's great for is that main focal fabric and all of its coordinates. You put all the coordinates in the spokes, and you have your main fabric in the middle. And there's an 8-inch block, which is like this.
Love it.
And then a little mini for a quicker project. But it's a great beginner project, and this is one of those quilts that people make again and again. They just whip it up for a baby shower, or because it's a pretty quilt, it shows off the fabrics amazingly well, and it's simple to put together. And so I've had a lot of people go back and make this again and again. And hopefully they've lost their pattern and they have to buy a new one. Sometimes that happens too. And then we have a couple of quilts here from my good friend Julie Herman, who is everybody here familiar with Jaybird quilts? Right. Well, we've been friends for a super long time, and so any chance I get to work with her, I'm on board. She was nice enough to use Elizabeth for her brand new ruler, for the cover pattern Glimmer, for her brand new ruler, which is Super Sidekick. And there's a smaller version as well. So is this done with the regular Sidekick or the Super Sidekick? I'm just learning. So, and we all know that whenever Jaybird's on board, we can move product, right?
Yeah.
So I call her whenever possible. Oh, I thought you had left already.
No, I've been here the whole time.
So, you know, she's a dynamo. So if anytime I can get to work with her, I do it. But I love the way she's used some of these larger prints as the background. You know, it doesn't have to be, the background doesn't always have to be solid. It doesn't always have to be a small print. It doesn't always have to be that little thing. You know, she's used two of the largest prints as backgrounds on both of these quilts. And if you flip that one around, it plays very nicely with the birds and the bees. And this one, she's done a great little patchwork of some of the heads and stuff. The selfies. So we love Julie for that. Okay, bye. Go to your schoolhouse. Get out of here. Does anybody have any questions about anything so far? About the collection? About, yeah? Am I going to, no, I'm just going to taunt you with them. I'm not going to show you anything more. Get out. So Sarah Lawson, I work with a lot of, I make quilts, and that's it. That's what I love, that's what I make. So I work with a lot of really great sewers throughout the industry that can sew zippers. And so one of the projects that I worked on with Sarah Lawson of the blog So Sweetness, she was working on this new pattern. I always call her and say, what new patterns are you working on? Oh, I was just gonna send you fabric. That's so funny that that's happening at the same time. But so she made me these adorable nesting tray cases, and we have them in the booth as well. But just the 3 different sizes, and they actually fit inside each other, which is completely adorable, because who doesn't love something inside something else? I mean, really. I mean, chocolate comes in a wrapper, I mean, everything. It's all good. So she made some stuff like this. We have a couple more extra items in the booth that I'm super excited to show you. And one of the things we've done this time, because this isn't my first rodeo, running up against, hey, Tula Pink designed another super weird fabric. So how are we gonna sell this again? Well, I've been doing some things on the side, kind of trying to get people used to it, because this happens the same way every time. People are scared sometimes, not as much anymore, but they're like, that's a fabric with a giant head on it, what do we do with it? And I say, you tattoo it on your body, duh. But so, in order to get people sort of familiar with this idea of, yes, I've put a face on a fabric once again, I had this really great idea. We're talking about queens and monarchs, and why don't we make decks of playing cards? And so I made a limited edition deck of playing cards. There's 250 of them. We put it out there, and I was hoping somebody would want them, and we've been totally inundated with people wanting them. We have not sold any yet. They will be for sale on the market floor. But what it was is it's a promotional, fun, interesting way to get people used to the idea. So the general public has not seen this fabric yet, or they shouldn't have. If they have, they're being sneaky. But generally haven't seen it. We haven't shown it yet. But we put out these cards, and the response we're getting, please tell me that's going to be on fabric. Please tell me that's going to be on fabric. So that's the idea. That was our sort of initial first introduction, like, oh, look, it's not scary on the little card where you're expecting to see faces. And so that was sort of our soft introduction make it so, because you guys know I have your back, you know, I'm always trying to make it easier for you to sell through because the health of your business directly reflects the health of mine. And I need you guys to do well with my product. So always and forever, anything I can do to help that, you just need to let me know. An email, tula@tulapink.com, anytime, day or night. I answer my emails in like 5 seconds. Because that little red number on my email thing drives me insane. I can't handle it. Some people can't stand a phone ringing going unanswered. I can't stand that little number. I can see it from like when I'm not even home. I can see it, I know it's there. So anything you need, anytime, you always let me know. But this was our way of sort of the soft intro, like hit them when they're not expecting it, get them used to it, and then when it comes on fabric, they'll be primed and ready, and they'll be already accepting 16th century selfies. So, what time is it? Oh, I have this right here. What time am I done? 4:15?
3:40.
Okay, we gotta do this quick. I'm giving away 2 decks of cards. So, on your Elizabeth handout, it was on this page. On the page, it just happens to have a sewing machine on it designed by myself for Bernina. Did you guys see that? I don't know if you saw that right here. I'm like Michael Jordan now of sewing. Actually, Ricky Tins and I both have a machine. We decided he's like Michael Jordan and I'm like Kobe Bryant because he's like way older than me. So some of you may have, what is it, a star? There are 2 of you that might have a little pink star or heart on your catalog. Anybody? Come on up. So they are all signed and numbered as well. And we only brought 100 to market because the other 150 are for the customers getting to buy your fabric. So that's the idea. I gift you. Because we're not handing out